Hello, our friends.
Hello there. Welcome back, everybody. How are you?
So they're off to Europe, and we know there's going to be a few thousand troops heading to Europe. As you know, things are still tense there. It feels like there's still this kind of pregnant pause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely going on many different levels. This pause, when you go to take an inhale. So we're watching this very closely, and we know other people are looking at things like this too, trying to give you our best information on it.
And the administration of JB, let's just say that, briefing senators today on the Ukrainian-Russian crisis. You know, how it hit me. I said to Cindy just when I was pulling this up, 1991, the Soviet Union broke up. That was 31 years ago. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I'm so old.
Yeah, everybody's getting there.
Well, it's relative, because I can remember that, of course, as the ever famous or infamous Sir Osborne said, heirs of the Cold War, is what we've become. Well, I remember that Cold War very well. There was always this little bit of a underlying tension. And brought up in the U.S., you always thought of the big bad USSR, and it was just this good guy, bad guy dichotomy that, now as things are really collapsing, we could kind of see through these left-right, dichotomies, these always keeping us divided and conquered. When you look at it, these are some of the nations that made up the former Soviet Union, and the USSR was founded in 1922, 5 years after the Russian Revolution overthrew the monarchy of Tsar Nicholas II. And Vladimir Lenin was one of the leaders of the revolution and was the first leader of the USSR until his death in 1924. And it was the largest country by a mile, by area in the world. 8.6 million square miles. Just enormous. Canada is the second largest as far as land area. But, this is very, very expansive. And when we do look back at, some of the countries that comprised it, there's the Baltic countries, of which one of our, I think it was a senator, was basically saying the Baltic countries, which are up here on the Baltic Sea, were on the Black Sea, and was corrected by some Russian officials there. And it was interesting too, because they were making a joke just talking about American politicians, all they know is sales, right. When they don't even know what they're selling. And, this is the case really for politicians in general. Let's be honest about that.
Well, they're definitely in it for their own agenda, whatever agenda that might be. It's going to benefit them greatly.
So, you see, the Ukraine was part of this. Georgia, Moldova, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and so many of these are now their own entity, obviously. And in fact, a lot have joined NATO over the years. So in 1991, it broke up, under the sphere of influence was Hungary, Poland, and the Czech Republic. Then it was Czechoslovakia, which has split up. And Czechoslovakia was kind of put together just in after World War One, so, and you had the Ottoman Empire before that got split up, and then we have Turkey, because Turkey was the major part of the Ottoman Empire. The point is, all this stuff is forever changing, forever changing. So as you see, joining NATO, it was the Czech Republic, Hungary, and Poland back in 1999. Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia in 2004, Albania, Croatia, 2009, Montenegro, and North Macedonia. And then, many people probably don't even remember Yugoslavia, which broke up, and it was a bloody, again, civil war. And, again, there you had Christianity fighting against Islam in so many cases. Again, we're kept divided by political ideologies and religion primarily. Of course, so much of it revolves around money. And, really this planet could be so incredibly bountiful. Eat a grapefruit. There's like 24 seeds in there or whatever it is. You could make 24 more grapefruit plants. Think about a pomegranate. One pomegranate could give you a massive orchard. Mother Nature makes things in abundance. The control system here, well, if things are too abundant and too easy, they're not going to be worth so much. Well, that limits wealth.
It sure does, and they can't have that, so they, take great strides in trying to make everything work out for them, and that includes, doing things like passing laws like you can't grow food in your own garden, or you can't grow food here, or you have to use this, or you have to do that just to make yourself self-sufficient. It's just not fair.
And again, we could go to any point in time, and we'll find the maps are always changing. So the Kievan Rus, this is where Russia was born. And as you can see, Kiev, Kiev's the Ukraine. Right here, this is the capital of the Ukraine. And Russia, Kievan Rus. Kievan Rus. So if we go back to 882, so we're talking, over 1,200 years ago, 1,240 years ago, 882 to 1240, this is showing you the expansion and growth of the Kievan Rus Empire, which was basically modern Ukraine, some other spots there, and some of Russia, which, has obviously gotten much, much bigger. So you could pick any time period, and of course we have people that are completely into the Abrahamic tradition to the point where they view everything else as being opposing it. And so, they'll be very pro-Israel. They'll say, well, God promised them that land. Even though when they got there, they exterminated the people that were already there for the most part. And DNA has shown that the people that were there were not all giants. In fact, they were the same people that were there for a long time before the Israelites got there. But there was a program of genocide that went underway, and people got supplanted. And so when, Israel was restored, 1800 and something years after, the fall in 70 AD, when the Romans came in and just wiped out everything, well, because of a rebellion, basically, that was brewing, there are many people that thought it was right and good that Israel was restored. But the groundwork for that was all done by one of the most influential families on the planet, the Red Shields, R-O-T-H-S, Childs. Yes, the Balfour Declaration, not a work of God. And some might say, well, God's working through, that person. Well, again, it's all part of the script that we're given, the scriptures, part of the script. And we see China and Russia coordinating positions on Ukraine. The writing's been on the wall of the power shift to head over towards the fine dining ware country for a very, very long time. And here you see the U.S. says Russia planned to fabricate pretext for invasion. So basically, you have the U.S. government basically saying Russia's going to do a false flag. And then, of course, you'll have the other side saying, no, they're going to do the false flag. Well, again, we know the chessboard really is being controlled by the same entity.
Right. Well, it's that chessboard that's played from a higher plane of existence, because they can move things in the ether. They know how to work the ether to get things to go in their way, and they've been planning this for eons.
Absolutely. So when we read from the Thomas Jefferson's papers, no free man shall ever be debarred the use of arms. And so, right there, no free man, because there was slavery in those times. And, they talked about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but again, it was only for one particular class of people, unfortunately. That should be for every single human on the planet. And as we've said many times, slavery is never something that should be accepted. It's never acceptable, even though there's many references to it, even in the New Testament. And, personally, I will never buy that an omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent God of, creator of everything that there is would ever condone slavery. I just don't buy it. Yeah, and I don't think you can justify it. Mm-mm. You really can't. But when you look at the legends again, we'll get a Wikipedia now, of the Anunnaki stating that they created man to be a slave race, well, then it makes a lot of sense. Yes, it makes an awful lot of sense. And when you realize anything biblical is just a rehashing of anything, of other stories that are much, much older. So why should we have a Second Amendment? Well, according to Thomas Jefferson, the main thing is as a last resort to protect ourselves against tyranny and government. That's a strong statement, but it is what we see throughout history. What we see throughout history is that governments have a tendency to turn dictatorial, tyrannical even. And then we got JB, yes, old beady black eyes himself are kind of glowing red today, aren't they?
Yeah, it looks like that one is more red than the other one for sure.
Well, yeah, they certainly look different. Originally he had blue eyes. Originally. Mm-hmm. Clone number one had blue eyes.
Well, I've known people that can change their eye color. I'm having trouble speaking today. They can turn their eyes black. When they get angry enough, their eyes go black. I always call it like shark eyes.
Kind of demonic.
Yep.
Yes. Well, let's listen to what he has to say today.
And again, for any of the press, any of the press listening, this doesn't violate anybody's Second Amendment right. There's no violation of a Second Amendment right. We talk like there's no amendment that's absolute. When the amendment was passed, it didn't say anybody can own a gun and any kind of gun and any kind of weapon. You couldn't buy a cannon, and when this amendment was passed, so no reason why you should be able to buy certain assault weapons. But that's another issue.
I really find it interesting to just look at his eyes, don't you? I think they say everything. Mm-hmm. And what's going on there?
Oh, it looks like it's losing its form.
It certainly does look like it's losing its form. There's a reddish overtinge. I don't think anybody's screwed with this one at all. Really. I don't think that's the point. And I've heard him say that before, and I heard him get into an argument with a civilian that really kind of owned the argument on him. And he actually looked like he was pushing the civilian in that one video from maybe about 9 months ago. So, does he know of anybody that tried to buy a cannon to put in their backyard? I don't know if he knows. What's he just getting around to? The beauty of the Second Amendment is that it won't be needed until they try to take it. And what's really going on when you see, the Second Amendment reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Well, I just thought it was curious because, there's so many people out there that have been doing what they're told in regards to trying to keep the, plague upon the land under control. And I was curious as to the number of the different types of you-know-whats that are out there. As you could see, by far, these two have been utilized in the U.S. as you see the number of doses. Now, they both use a certain technology, right? These are of this type of technology. curious because in Russia and China, what they are utilizing, what the population is receiving, is not that technology. In fact, it's the old technology that's used in pretty much all other types of applications, so to speak. That's been the norm since it first came out with, Louis Pasteur and all that, all that as well. So, they're not of that technology. And, I just thought that would be an interesting thing to share with people in these times.
Well, I've spoken with people who have asked for this other technology to be used, and they said that wouldn't count as them having any treatments. They won't refuse to do that.
But it counts over in Russia and in China. So again, this is just all part of that message that was given to me personally by the guides back in it was December, I think, 2015, and they were telling me Trojan horse. So make of it what you guys will. And we do want to thank our patrons because we couldn't do it without you guys. And you can also do monthly support over on Ko-Fi, just like Patreon as well, or one-time support for the channel. And do check out Medicinal Foods. Use coupon code EEA. There's a link at the top of every video. Good stuff that can help boost your immune system and detox because it's sorely needed. Your health is the #1 priority in these times. For yourself, for your family, because we are exposed to who knows what in these times on a daily basis. If your immune system's not functioning perfectly, it can make it very, very challenging.
Right. And if you think about it, when it comes to food, they put a lot of things out on the shelves that is going to keep our pineal gland nice and not working very well. So they start internally on us. And that's why when we want to awaken our pineal gland and awaken ourselves, we also need to start within.
Absolutely. And, things like the Chi tonic here to boost your life force production is key. There are other things out there you could take to boost, the production of literal life force in your body as well. And things that won't really interfere with, causing all sorts of other side effects. Some of the side effects when you go read the labels of something that might clear up a little bit of acne, but, basically, gosh knows what else it could do. I'll stick natural and I've already even, I've shared with, Cindy and other close friends that, I'll never go and put anything that's not natural in my body. And if I ever need, pain relief, in the worst case, it'll be actual aspirin. And then that's extremely rare just because I personally don't trust anything that's in the system, and that's just me. Everybody has to do their own, thing, their own research, feel for yourself.
Right. And everyone, it's really important to find the natural remedies that work. But so many people have been stuck in this system where they go in for some medical procedure, but then they're hooked into the system because they have to go back to get some sort of repair, or they have to go back to get these other prescriptions that help them heal. So the medical system is, it can trick you itself, but it's very difficult once you're in. You're kind of stuck. So we have to work with what we have and just do our best.
So as always, guys, be prepared, stay safe, stay strong out there. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.